From The Australian, here's what's on the front. I'm Claire Harvey. It's Tuesday, July 1, 2025. Nations prepared to pony up on defence spending could receive new missiles from the US ahead of Australia. The revolutionary weapons are in hot demand, but the growing gulf between Canberra and the White House means Australia could miss out. Former PM Paul Keating warns the government's proposed superannuation tax could affect millions more people than expected. That story's live now at theaustralian.com.au. It's decision time for Erin Patterson. The jury in her Victorian Supreme Court murder trial has started deliberations. She's pleading not guilty to 3 murder charges and 1 of attempted murder related to a deadly family lunch at her home in 2023. So, did she have a motive to murder? That's today's episode. Did Erin Patterson have a motive to kill 4 elderly relatives? Or did she have a motive not to kill them? That's the key consideration for a jury that's been sent out by Justice Christopher Beale. We've used voice actors throughout this episode. Here's what the judge told the jury before they began deliberations.
For some murders, there may be evidence of motive, but some murders occur for no apparent reason. The motives of such murders might only ever be known to the accused.
Patterson has told the court she loved Don and Gail Patterson, her parents-in-law, and Heather and Ian Wilkinson, the aunt and uncle of her husband Simon. Simon Patterson was a witness for the Crown, who told the court during the trial Erin had a good relationship with his parents.
She got on particularly well with Dad. They shared a love of knowledge and the world, and I think she liked his gentle nature. Mum and Dad were really active in maintaining a good relationship with Erin. I think it was mutual.
But Simon Patterson told the jury tensions emerged after their rocky marriage ultimately ended in separation. He said Erin was angry when she saw his tax return in late 2022, about 7 months before the fatal lunch.
She said that she discovered that my tax return for the previous financial year had for the first time noted that we were separated. Before that, we hadn't got the government involved in the fact we were separated at all before then. And so she said that mattered, I think, for the family tax benefit, something of that nature. And she would be obliged to claim child support off me, which had never happened before. And so she pointed that out, and she was upset about it.
On Monday, the jury showed up at the Morwell courthouse with suitcases and bags, ready to move into accommodation altogether for the duration of their deliberations. They'll be sequestered, that is, they can't go home, while they deliberate, returning to the courthouse each day to sit in the jury room and go through the evidence. At the conclusion of Justice Beale's directions, 2 jurors were ejected after their numbers were drawn in a ballot. Only 12 can now consider the verdict.
Now, once you have reached a unanimous verdict on each of the charges, you should push the buzzer in the jury room and tell my tipstaff. He will then arrange for us all to return to court.
Justice Beale said jurors are welcome to ask questions of the court by having their foreperson hand a note to court officers.
There's one thing that must not appear in any question that you ask, and that's the numbers. I don't want to know about it. I don't want to hear about it. You should only discuss the case with each other, and you should only do that when you are all together in the privacy of the jury room here in court. Don't discuss when you're at the hotel. Don't get into little groups and have discussions about the case. To prove that the accused is guilty of murder, the prosecution must prove the following 4 elements beyond reasonable doubt. 1. The accused caused the death of the deceased by serving the deceased a poisoned meal.
The judge said it wasn't disputed that Patterson served Heather, Don and Gail beef Wellingtons that she had made that were poisoned with death cap mushrooms, or that this caused their deaths.
2. The accused's alleged conduct was conscious, voluntary and deliberate. 3. At the time of the alleged conduct, the accused intended to kill or cause really serious injury to the deceased. 4. The accused killed the deceased without lawful justification or excuse.
The judge said there was special meaning attached to the words conscious, voluntary and deliberate.
The term conscious excludes the acts of an unconscious person, such as a sleepwalker. It's amazing sometimes what sleepwalkers can do.
He said voluntary means the accused must be in control of her actions.
This excludes the acts of a person operating in one of the number of rare mental states where the mind loses control of the body's actions. And the term deliberate excludes accidental acts.
Deliberate is the most important word because that's what's in dispute here. The defence says Patterson accidentally included death cap mushrooms in the meal eaten by everyone and that she vomited after the meal and didn't become seriously unwell. The Crown says Patterson made a death cap-free version of the meal for herself and poisoned the 4 plates intended for her guests. In relation to Ian Wilkinson, the man who survived, although he spent weeks in hospital, Patterson faces a different charge, attempted murder. That means the requirements are slightly different. The jury must find that Patterson
consciously, voluntarily and deliberately served Ian Wilkinson a poisoned meal. The accused's alleged conduct was A, more than merely preparatory to killing Ian Wilkinson, and B, immediately and not remotely connected with killing Ian Wilkinson.
That is, she wasn't just preparing to kill Ian Wilkinson, that she actually intended to kill him in that moment, and that there was no lawful justification or excuse for her conduct. Coming up, the points the jury can disagree on. Justice Beale told the jury they have to agree, but not completely.
In relation to each charge, your verdict, guilty or not guilty, must be unanimous. However, this requirement does not mean that you must all reach your verdict for the same reasons.
On Monday, he rattled through the main elements of the way the Crown and defence summed up their cases on that crucial question of motive. He started with the Crown's Dr. Nanette Rogers, who he said put it like this.
Sometimes internal motivation is only known to the person themselves. You don't have to know why a person does it to know that they did it. The question is not why she did it, but the question is whether you're satisfied, beyond reasonable doubt, that she did.
The judge quoted Nanette Rogers telling the jury about Simon's recollection of Don and Gail Patterson being dragged into the dispute over money, and that the accused had told others Simon had become nasty.
Their son noticed it. He said the relationship was very negative. Also, the children had stopped staying over at Simon's. Simon spoke of inflammatory messages so upsetting that they decided that Gail would not read the group messages anymore. There was a division deeper than the family knew. She expressed her true feelings to her online friends, told them she was an atheist. Erin Patterson was duplicitous. Consider the eye roll emojis in those messages. She seemingly accepted in her evidence-in-chief and cross-examination that they were eye-rolling emojis. Then, a moment later, said you can't see that they are eye rolls.
The judge reminded the jury of Rogers reading aloud Patterson's messages about the family, which she sent to online friends.
This family, I swear to fucking God. They're a lost cause. I'm sick of this shit. I want nothing to do with them, so fuck them. Simon's messages will just be horrible and be gaslighting and abusive, and it will ruin my day. And his parents' messages will be more weasel words. I don't need anything from these people.
Justice Beale then ran through the way the defence characterised Patterson's motive not to kill.
The defence said because they're good people, why on earth would anyone want to kill them? Why would Erin Patterson want to kill them? Because of a brief period of tension which didn't have anything to do with the Wilkinsons? Don and Gail were her children's only grandparents. The prosecution has to prove intention. Motive can be important for proof of intention. It's usually fundamental to proof of the intention. In the absence of a motive, intention to kill or cause really serious injury is very unlikely. If they can't prove a motive, you might think the prosecution falls short of proving intention as a matter of logic and common sense.
The judge said the defence had outlined all the good things in Patterson's life at the time.
Big, beautiful new house, newly landscaped garden, effectively sole custody of her 2 children, comfortable financially, looking forward to returning to study. If she carried out a murder, she would inevitably attract suspicion. Focus would be on the cook very quickly.
He reminded the jury the defence had taken issue with the Crown's suggestion. Patterson might have thought it would all be mistaken for food poisoning.
Pretty rare to get 4 people dying from a case of food poisoning. An investigation was inevitable. A careful murderer would know the spotlight would be on her as soon as these people were hospitalised. She had good reason not to harm them. She will lose the people who support her and her children, and she'll lose her children.
The jury in the murder trial of Erin Patterson will continue their deliberations on Tuesday, and you'll hear it right here on the front when the verdict is in. Our subscribers at theaustralian.com.au have been following every twist and turn, and they'll be reading and watching the best analysis of this and all the big stories. Join us at theaustralian.com.au.